All right, guys, we're back. We're out here, round 3, Orlando Formula Drift 2024, and they call this round Scorched. And let me tell you, it's scorched. It was 99 degrees out here yesterday. We were setting everything up. So hot that I was like, I'm not filming any of this. This is, I'm just trying not to die. But today we're out here. We got the car already warmed up and ready to go. I'll cut in some footage from when we were back in the shop of all the improvements that we made on the car in between Atlanta and Orlando. All right, so we finally have our solution with Action Clutch. They now have these little steel pads for the floaters to hit up against. On the old clutch, these floaters would dig into the aluminum housing and kind of embed themselves in there as the clutch is being engaged, disengaged, and just banging around. And eventually, one of these two floaters, usually the middle one, would start to hang up. And that's kind of what started to happen to us at the track. But at the same time, there's been some bolts on this block that have started to strip out. And we noticed it in Atlanta, but I guess it's been going on where they would torque, but not all the way. And we think what happened is the bell housing was able to shift out of position and basically misalign everything, which also caused the clutch to hang up. So now, our friend Joe Clowder, who's kind of one of the man behind the scenes, who does a lot of work for us to help us get along the right path. He's a great guy, and he has extremely knowledgeable. He assisted me in getting these 2 new dowel pins put in. So now we recentered everything. The old dowel up here is not actually lined up to anything. So that was part of the initial issue. We've been going through pilot bearings. We now have a brand new pilot bearing installed. Got a couple backups made. And up here, we replaced those 2 bolts in the block with studs. We wanted to put thread inserts up there, but they're just way too close to the water jackets. So that's just something that, you know, the average person's probably never gonna have to deal with this, but because we take the clutch in and out of this car so many times throughout the course of a season, it's just started to wear out, and we're having to do things to keep things moving. So that's where we're at on that. Just need to finally do air gap on the clutch. All this stack height is just a little bit different than it used to be, so we had to machine the back of the pilot, the slave cylinder off, get about 200 thou more clearance, because we went from about 200 thou clearance to 0 clearance, which is definitely not good. All right, something else that we do here at Colab is manufacture motorsport grade carbon fiber printed parts. I know a lot of people probably have the opinion that printed 3D printer stuff on my car, I could go on Amazon and buy a $200 printer and do that, and the quality is no good. Well, these are extremely high-end printers. We have, I would say, over $40,000 invested into our printing operation to be able to print these type of parts. Last year we ended up putting a alternator bracket for the new alternator on the car, and it's still on there. It's got reinforced continuous fiber built into it, so it's as strong as an aluminum part. I'm showing you this now because we're also upgrading our clutch fan at the front of the car. And these guys, all 3 of them down here. And then we got the big boy running a test print over here to make sure that the ductwork now can be split off to the alternator, which has been a problem for us in the past with it getting too hot. So, and then for the clutch, we need to keep the clutch cool. We have some ventilation blowing back there. Well, at some point last season, we decided we kept killing alternators. That's the reason we came out of New Jersey against Sorensen last year, because the alternator died because of the heat. So we ended up pulling that fan off and just directing it only at the alternator. Well, now we're starting to have problems with the clutch again. So I've designed something that we can put the fan and blow in both directions. Those are printing right now. Unfortunately, it's such a big piece, and if you've ever messed around with 3D printing, that's the one downside, is it takes forever for them to print. That's why we have so many printers here at Colab Garage to be able to manufacture these parts when people order them. So right now we pause that operation to get these parts printed for the drift car, and some point tomorrow we'll have a finished product, and I'll be able to show you guys that as well. We have a really cool fan. It's from Uber 3. It's a little brushless 3-inch fan that can run almost 400 CFM. It's pretty crazy, pretty expensive too, but I decided that's more than enough airflow for both. So we used our Colab Carbon 3D printing business that we run to show all the different stuff that we could do. So down here is the fan location. It used to just kind of be zip tied up under there, but as you can see, there's a fan duct that points straight at the alternator, and then some duct work that comes off the back where it Y's off and goes around to the clutch. That pretty much covers all the updates. A bunch of small stuff. You know, we had to get the clutch finally aligned properly. We found out that the dowel pin was just never aligned right from the beginning. So every time we put a clutch on there, we were setting ourselves up for failure. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this weekend we'll get that sorted out. We're ready to go. We're going to practice here, and we have battle later this afternoon. So we'll get a little bit of footage for you guys, and we'll be back. Guys, we just wrapped up practice. We're getting ready. Final checkovers on the car. That last lap, we saw that some fluid had sprayed up, and we wasn't sure whose car it came from. Well, it turns out it was our car. The trans breather just a little bit loose, and kind of sprayed a little bit of fluid up. So we're just addressing that. The boys are in there knocking that out. We also had the steering column just loosen up just a little bit. So just doing our final checks, final nut and bolt, and we're ready. I've been around Ryan long enough that I could tell when he's dialed in. I could tell that 5th and 6th run, he's ready to go. So let's do this thing, man. We're gonna go out there and see how we do. Hopefully we run into the night.
All right, Ryan Litteral, Kyle Mohan. Litteral stepped up big in Atlanta, had a good run. Kyle Mohan, you were talking about how impressed you were. Similar to that, I mean, Kyle Mohan's been around since day one. The podium has escaped him, but he's been true. Just like, I mean, talk about these purists. Only dude running an RB on the left, only dude running a rotary on the right. So these guys are are diehards. They're going to die on the cross for their engines.
Yeah, yeah. It's manufacturer, both chassis and engine for both drivers, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Not often we see that anymore.
No, I mean, you know, Forsberg's been done. He's been done doing that since day one. Nissan and Nissan.
That's a good point.
So, yeah. All right, here we go. Ryan Litteral out front. The Sunoco S15 initiates. And here we go. Kyle Mohan chasing him down. He's down on that bank. Looks like he blends right in. He's camouflaged to the wall. But Ryan Litteral comes down now into that front clip. He takes it out. A lot of those guys navigating and taking him out. You see Kyle Mohan, not as much angle. Needs to get that proximity. Litteral finds that sweet spot. Good angle from him. You know, nothing just crazy out of the box, but just good, straightforward. He did center punch, or not center punch, but took out that inside clip coming off the bank.
Yeah, Litteral's run here is nice and smooth, nice and consistent, which is what we want. And it looked like Kyle needed to get on power a little bit more. You can see how long it took for those tires to light up and then get back into the pocket. Litteral has a nice left foot brake there to get the car settled coming off the bank, which can be risky. It's a great way to bend a tie rod by doing that. But then through the rest of these zones, I mean, this is a really solid run by Litteral. It's, as you said, not crazy flashy. He doesn't do anything ridiculous, but he puts together a very solid run.
And that's almost like no news is good news, where it's just a good, straightforward, good, clean run. Car looks good. It looks settled, not wavering. You know, and as we're getting overhead with Kyle, see him kind of lunging back and forth, but Ryan keeps it rock solid. Kyle edges in there. You can see Ryan working the wheel a little bit. It's not major corrections, like you said, input-wise.
You'll notice, too, the drivers are shutting it down right at the line on that first run because there is no tread to be spared on this track tonight.
Yep. Yeah, we talked about just the porousness, the aggressiveness, the grit. We talk about that in Seattle here, and I'd say Irwindale's probably the smoothest out of all the banked ones. Here we go. Kyle Mohan initiates. And look at that, Ryan Litteral gets good proximity there, but he has to back off. There we go. Now he's blending into that green wall. The big green monster now coming into that second inside clip. You guys are absolutely obliterating him, taking him out like the pinatas. Now into that crease goes Kyle Mohan. Does exceed it just a little bit there towards the end, but that won't hurt him too much. But again, these guys, you know, got a little loosey-goosey there on that second run.
Yeah, so let's check out the initiation there from Kyle Mohan. We see he's on left foot brake right through it, but it does take him a while to get the back end of the car settled in there, and it kind of throws it in near the end, which does throw Ryan Litteral for a bit of a loop. He does shoot through this section here. Kyle's kind of been struggling with keeping the throttle consistent through that transition zone, and with the rotary, if you come off throttle, it does take a bit to get back into where it makes power. So this initiation here, so he gets on it, then left foot brakes, then gets on power, now is throwing angle in. So it really takes Kyle about half of the bank before he's really got things dialed in, which you know, it sucks because the rest of the run does start to come together. We do see some more corrections here, and I think the chase that we see out of Ryan Litteral more or less comes from the fact that he wasn't able to get things settled because Kyle wasn't getting things settled in front of him. So Ryan could have been a bit more aggressive with it, but it looks like he was just kind of chasing back and forth. And really the BC Racing side-by-side is going to show us.
Yeah, all right, so there you go. See, Ryan Litteral initiate. Like I said, just good, straightforward run. And watch Mohan on the right.
It's that little, like,
that little, like,
into the wall a little bit and then shoots back out. He's not supposed to be decelling in that area yet. You can a little bit further down, but yeah, and I mean, the second outside zone was really tough from Ryan Litteral, but what it's gonna come down to is what mistake was bigger, what is gonna overcome that, and that's what's gonna basically set the judges up for their decisions.
And the pressure mounts, again, it does bear repeating. No one more times in seating brackets, so a lot of pressure leaning on. By the way, our judges here, we got Vernon, Brian Eggert, and Robin Ishida. Reese Marin is sitting out on this one. Let's take a look. Who gets the win? Is it Ryan Litteral or Mohan? It looks like Ryan Litteral gets the win in his Sunoco Extreme Sim Racing Sim Magic Kenda Motorsports Colab Garage S15. Ryan Litteral gets the win, and it's in game day on Saturday. And Matt's is running
LS. With a big old blower on it. Lots of America under the hood there.
Yep. And that hair, too, that flow. Woo! Man.
Yep.
Again.
Mane and tail.
Oof, yeah. detangler.
Yeah.
That guy, he goes through a full bottle of conditioner every shower.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Just has crates of it that follow him around the country.
His car runs. Here we go. Ryan Litteral out front of Sunoco. Sim Magic. S15. He initiates D-Maz lower and slower on that bank as Litteral going for it. This is good practice for him right now. He's got the clean air. Maz, he's getting a little fire in that chase position, but he's going to need to tighten it up if he wants to move on. And there we go. Litteral crossing the finish line. Big advantage there for Litteral on that run.
The drone, and actually multiple camera angles, and I want you to watch this when we get a chance to see Ryan Litteral, because he is so calm behind the wheel. It's so great to see. Amazing initiation there from Ryan Litteral. Could have pushed onto the bank a little bit more. It does here. D-Maz in the chase, struggling. Not able to put the power down. Either has the car gripped up too much. We're not making enough power at this point in time, but Ryan Litteral, just textbook there. Does push a bit wide to that first section, as we talked about. The driver's kind of using it as a bit of a starting ramp, pushing the rear end up to shoot the car forward. But yeah, Ryan Litteral, I mean, nice swing on that entry. I think he can whip it a little bit harder. I mean, the Ryan Litteral I know that gets a little bit more aggressive. You can see a huge swing out, but he's learning that he's got to play the game a little bit, right? You want to throw a ton of angle, you want to be super stylish. You also want to win. So you gotta find that balance, and I really think Ryan Litteral is kind of coming into his own.
Well, it's just trust issues. He's had some gremlins that have popped up and just wreaked havoc. They're eating after midnight, getting wet, and they're growing. And now it's finally seems like he's exercised the demons, and he's figured it all out there with the Colab guys from Georgia. So here we go. Let's see him out front. D-Maz, Derek Madison. If I'm Litteral, and I'm Litteral's spotter, I'd say, hey man, tiptoe, because look, there it is. You see him really riding that left foot brake there. That's a hard act to follow there. Oh, buddy.
Ooh.
And see, look at that. And that's exactly that could have been way worse.
Both of them shut down almost simultaneously. So, yeah, we need to figure out what happened with Madison and what happened with Ryan Litteral. So the plot's going to thicken here. Now, if they both incompleted at the same time for independent reasons, we are going to flip back to the other run. But Litteral definitely struggling to get the car going, trying to reinitiate over and over again. And then right here, Derek just shuts it down. So it almost seems like we had two independent zeros or incompletes at this point in time for two completely separate reasons. That's how I'm interpreting this right now.
But fortunately, there was no contact. And like you said, they're both of them not the prettiest. D-Maz riding that left foot brake, and then he just dives in, watches his grip up, rep. And Litteral, fortunately, he was back and was having issues. Because if he's on his door, that would have been, bang, he would have taken off his nose.
Yeah, and I mean, it looked like Litteral was trying to initiate over and over and over again to get the car back into angle, which is very curious. But then Derek, coming off the bank, just it looked like the car did not want to transition back out and just straightens out. So in my mind, that looks like two separate zeros or incompletes at that point in time. So it's going to push it back to the first run. So that is what I believe the judges are looking at now is, okay, we have two separate incompletes for two completely different reasons. All the data that we have goes back to the first run at that point, right?
Yeah, just looking at that, I mean, I was recounting the run one, and I think I have the right decision, or I think I know who I would choose. And there we go. So slide him left for Ryan Litteral. 1, 2, and 3. Ryan Litteral gets the victory. Underneath that. Contrary to popular belief. Tattoo on the head. Do it. You won't. All right, RCP, Ryan Litteral. We are moving on to our next battle. RCP Little Formula Drift Instagram takeover. Ryan Litteral dialing it in. He had an issue yesterday that took him out of that seating bracket, but what's good is he found that issue. Now he's dialing in, but I'll tell you what, RCP is surging. The Garagistic BMW high on the bank blends in the green of the vehicle and that wall. Look at that, just chameleon, karma chameleon, red, gold, and green. Oh, we lose another bumper there in that killer crossover. Here comes Ryan Litteral, but RCP continues on, no problem. That dude has seen more hits, takes a lick and it keeps on ticking. And Ryan Litteral tries to chase him down. Let's run that back and see what went good, what went wrong.
Yeah, RCP, love the initiation. Huge flick to entry there, and then Ryan Litteral has to scrub out some angle to kind of get back online, get back into the fight. And then Rome really holding things a little bit too wide through that inside clip. So that's going to be a bit of a detriment. That does have some impact on the contact that was made there from Ryan Litteral. So Rome was fairly offline through that section, getting a little too aggressive, holding onto the bank a bit too long, and that's what's going to cause that. You have the time coming off the bank, so you're able to hit the inside clip. So Rome, not a ton of angle through that first outside zone, holds on way too long, and that's why it goes wide, messes up some of the transition. Both drivers look to the floor, keep on it, and then Rome, I mean, same thing, has to, because of that, pushes him wide to the next outside zone. It's tough. One mistake in the beginning.
Yeah, it was more of the like hung it out to dry, right? Yeah. And we see that a lot in Seattle where it's like, okay, you have to leave. It's kind of like icing somebody on the start line. You're icing somebody in that chase position. If RCP hangs it out there and then there's contact, you know, yeah. So, and you could see it right there. I mean, look at proof positive. Obviously the contact. Litteral hits him that front left corner. So
little carnage.
Yeah, a little bit. Even though Carnage isn't here, Carnage is here. Carnage with a C.
Here in spirit.
Here in Carney spirit. And looks like they are going to be deeming one of the drivers at fault. No? Okay.
Okay. So they're going to let the drivers go back to the pits just to kind of take a look, make sure that there isn't any damage. That way they're not utilizing their competition time.
Shared contact?
Yeah, kind of a mutual contact without an incomplete. It also allows them to get the bumpers off the cars. We're not having to fight through that. We can kind of keep everything rolling.
Second half of the battle. Again, just to remind you, no incompletes between these two. Contact was made of the killer crossover. We'll take a look at the replay just to refresh not only your memory, but obviously the judges, as we are now 3/2 of the way of 3 battles, right? And here's the second half of the Litteral RCP battle.
Yeah, Rome staged it back pretty far there. It's interesting.
Yeah, I
wonder, I mean, usually guys do that if they're concerned about power or speed against the drivers. So I'm wondering if maybe there's something going on with Rome's engine or power-wise, because that's the only reason I could see him staging that far back.
I mean, he hung on the wall for quite some time, and yeah, that might. Oh, there he pulled up. Mind games, bro. He's playing mind games. Here we go. Ryan Litteral out front. That's Sim Magic, Sim Racing, Sunoco, Colab. Oh, and you might have called it there, Jacob. You see him kind of falling down, but then keeps back up. Ryan Litteral back on it into that inside clip. Whoa, RCP wrong side of the clip. Trying to shake up Ryan Litteral, but shook and not stirred from the IE boy. Look at that. Poise. Posture. RCP with that FD takeover takes out himself. You know, I'm just calling.
I know.
I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah, so let's see. I mean, okay. Is there an issue with Rome's car? Not sure. Aggressive on that initiation from both drivers, but Rome back in the car and just a little bit too much. Well, Ryan Litteral very smooth out front. His consistency has been incredible. Transitions nice and early there, but Rome kind of transitions later on, which pushes them wider. And now through here, you can see Rome adjusting the car. You can almost see into the car to see how he's moving the steering wheel to try and feed the car a little bit closer. So look at Rome, too aggressive on that initiation, backs the car in, and then from here, it's kind of the Ryan Litteral show out front, while Rome has to fight to get back into the actual battle. So transition-wise, this is where we talk about you can kind of play this track a little bit differently. Some drivers choose to transition off inner clip really early. Some choose to hold it for a long period of time and then transition later. Either way is accessible, but judges have scores in already. They know what's up.
Yeah, and again, didn't want to, give away too much, but we obviously know the answer there. Ryan Litteral gets the win. Sim Magic, Sunoco, Colab RBS15. Unfortunately, RCP in the Garagistic pedal commander. BMW is knocked out.
Guys, we're back from our round of 32 battle with Rome and came out victorious. Couldn't be more proud of the guys. We've been dealing with a ton of small little issues throughout the course of the entire weekend. We've had some sensors starting to die out. We've had alignment change on the track in our last practice lap that we had to fix really quick right before we went out there. We're in a real battle out there, as you can see. We have no front bumper, no rear bumper, no headlights, and I can't think of what else. But uniquely here, we have almost 4 hours before we have to go back out there for top 16. So the guys are right now, we're going to do another full setup on the car, get everything reset, because there was a decent amount of contact out there. Nothing that impeded anybody's run, but it doesn't take much on these cars to change the alignment setting, and the driver can feel it. So we're going to do that and get just a little bit of footage there, and then we'll see you guys out there for top 16.
Driver coming to us from the 909. That is the Inland Empire. He rips around the Sunoco, Sim Magic, Sim Racing, Kenneth Tires, Colab, S15. The RB Army flag is high for Ryan Litteral. Pretty sweet. Here we go. Brandon Sorensen, Ryan Litteral. You can see the horsepower numbers, the driving. We'll revisit the second half of Odie Bakshis and Dylan Hughes, but right now Ryan Litteral in his RBS15 versus the LS-powered BMW. Brandon Sorensen in his United States Air Force BMW. Ryan Litteral, Sunoco, Sim Magic, Sim Racing. We are sending cars. Brandon Sorensen out front. Ryan Litteral gonna stick it to his door. Litteral's been on one lately. Let's see if he can continue on. As Brandon Sorensen gets to the wall, and he is right there. Ryan Litteral kind of on the nose of it, needs to come down. Now Brandon Sorensen past that second inside clip and into that second outside zone. Litteral supplying the pressure, and now into that second sweeping turn. So some good driving there by both the drivers. Litteral seems like he's found that secret sauce.
Yeah, so Brandon Sorensen's initiation was the first thing that I noticed. So really good into the wall there, and you can see he makes that correction and starts to come back off it. Now, Litteral should have been much deeper into that zone. He does start to make some corrections here to get into the correct place without making it super obvious. Right there being one of them. Brandon Sorensen now on the left foot brake. That's where you see the smoke coming from the front tire, and he's doing that to keep the car from pushing too far forward. So it's a technique a lot of drivers use, and Sorensen using it a lot here. You can see the smoke coming from the front right. Well, in the chase, Ryan Litteral is just trying to figure out what's going on with it, and it does look like Brandon out front is making a lot of corrections. Now, that being said, good tap there. Sorensen stays into it, and yeah, I mean, that's what we want to see, right? You get the head, keep going.
Yeah, it looked like he got him twice. Like Litteral hit his back left corner and then hit his door. Like you said, some corrections here and there. Just tighten it up. Don't leave it in the judge's hands.
Yeah, Litteral's going to need a very smooth run to win.
Here we go, Litteral out front. It seems like maybe he's got that clean air. He throws it high and tight like a fastball pitch. Brandon Sorensen, he's giving it back to him. Litteral works his way up top, hangs it on the wall. Sorensen now pushing Litteral around the track. As Litteral, both these guys taking out the inside clips. Litteral gets into the crease. Brandon Sorensen, oh, we got a tire fire. We got a back left tire fire. Ryan Litteral brings it around.
That's a good one.
All right, pull it off track. Pull it off track. Ryan Litteral.
He's out. He's out.
All right, so what an exciting, make some noise for Ryan Litteral and Brandon Sorensen. A tire fire on that back left corner.
He is pumped.
Wow, Litteral just
look it.
Checkers or wreckers.
Woo! It's scorched, yeah.
Glad he's okay. Got out of the car. The Sunoco, got nothing to do with the fuel there, just the title sponsor, but we saw this earlier with Ryan Turk, and the tire particulates accumulate, the tire heat, all the tire debris that packs in there, and then it just combusts, just the tire temps and all that.
Yeah, it's these tires get so hot, and then when they start piling up in that back quarter panel, yeah, all it takes is one little spark, and those gases ignite, and that's what's going on. But all right, let's take a look here, because our first view is really, really smoky, but Ryan Litteral, I love the initiation. Already on the left foot brake there. It's not as deep, but Brandon Sorensen doing a great job at mirroring everything and being right on him. Big left foot brake there, and then slingshots out. Sorensen able to answer in most of the ways, but does get a bit of a gap hold on him. And right there, that tire lights up, and Sorensen just tries to put it out with contact. And then we can see there at that point, Ryan Litteral knows there's a problem, shuts the car down, fire response is in there right away. So, looks like the judges are already calling for a side-by-side. They want to see what this is like, because there are some mistakes from both drivers in the lead. The chases were pretty solid, but there were some gaps here and there. It will come down to basically who had the best lead run at this point. Wow.
Yeah, definitely making the highlight reel, man. This year, we've seen just a lot of Enfuego.
Look at our track staff. Ryan Litteral wasn't even stopped yet before. Is that Sopa?
Yeah.
Sopa's down there ready to go. Our main man on the line.
Yep. Our FD staff was there before our track staff was. And glad they got it extinguished. All right.
You got everybody there pushing
And Ryan hyping it up, man. Like, again, like, if you're going to make the highlight reel in some way, one way or the other.
Yeah, it's definitely a clip-worthy moment, as the kids say.
Yep. It's going viral, baby.
It might be. That's a lot of adrenaline there, but wow.
All right, we're going to go to a BC Racing side-by-side for the judges. BC Racing, the official suspension of Formula Drift. You said, basically, you're thinking, Jacob, that it's coming down to the lead run.
Yeah, so what I'm looking for is what kind of mistakes and how big the mistakes are. So things like inner clips, both of them had a good first inner clip. Second inner clip, both pretty much the same. So now it's going to come to this outside zone. And which driver was able to do it? Man, they're both super close. So because both lead runs were pretty par, then we start to switch back to the chase runs, who had more proximity, who did it better. When we start to look at that, you start to think about, okay, yeah, I mean, Ryan Litteral was really close, but he was hitting. Yeah. And that's not really what we're looking for. But Brandon Sorensen, when he was in the chase, did get gapped a few times. So there's a lot of things that we need to balance out, but it sounds like the judges do have a decision, and we're going to get it here in just a moment.
All right, slide him left for Sorensen, right for Ryan Litteral. Brandon Sorensen gets 1 vote, 2 votes, and Brandon Sorensen gets the win. Brandon Sorensen gets the win. What a barn burner, literally, for Ryan Litteral.
All right, guys, so that's a wrap for with top 16. I thought it was an extremely close battle.
We did too. I mean, Brandon thought that I got it. I thought that he got it. So it was pretty split.
Yeah, the commentary was pretty split, but hey, we can officially say it's lit now.
Oh, it's definitely lit.
Yeah,
it was fully lit.
That's highlight reel. I mean, that made it worth it the whole weekend. I mean, I was on the radio, and so was Zach. We're telling Ryan, yo, like,
I couldn't hear you guys at all.
Yeah, you're on fire, dude. But I mean, it was after you finished.
Yeah.
And I'm like, pull the suppression.
I'm so glad I didn't, though.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't, because so it was just a tire fire, guys.
Yeah.
So a bunch of tire debris got up underneath there, and the power steering breather popped off. So the power steering fluid's I think what started it. You know, all it takes is a little backfire or something to start that stuff to burn. And but hell, that was an awesome show,
dude. It was so fun. Look at all the, like, we got more marks on the door. And I probably have some on this side too, because I was beating him up over here too. Dude, what an awesome event.
Yeah.
And thank you.
We're happy.
Thank you for everything you did, man. Everybody
we did good.
Yeah, we did.
You knocked my fan off in the front. That's what he was checking out.
Oh.
It's just dangling there. So we got to fix that too. But we
work.
couldn't ask for a better weekend. We sorted out a ton of little itty bitty problems, but you know, last time we talked about the 1%. I think we found it this round.
Yeah. So the car really was on point all weekend, dude.
Yep. So with that, guys, we'll see you out in New Jersey, and we'll see you in that next video.